Hey there, it's Matt from 2A Cops. Hey, I'm out here at the range today with this. I want to talk to you guys about I'm almost afraid to put the can on it. Wonder when these are going to start throwing. Try a different dot on the target
Closed
now.
captions provided by Ace Hardware.
Just see where we're at. Funding for this old gun provided by Boise Black Rifle and U.S. Law Shield. Hey there, it's Matt from 2A Cops. Hey, I'm out here at the range today with this. I want to talk to you guys about it's not always necessary to go out and buy the latest, greatest thing. If you look at this, you'll see key mod on here. This is a gun that I built probably around 10 years ago. I was living in California. It was built as a California legal pistol at the time. I used good parts when I built the gun, like the fore-end is a BCM fore-end. It's actually one of their very early fore-ends. This one's key mod. This is when they were still making them out of a magnesium aluminum alloy. The newer ones are all aluminum. They're still great fore-ends. They're just not the same product that this was. So that's how old this guy is. It was an arrow receiver, arrow upper, BCM barrel, but it had lots of oddball stuff on it at the time. It had a California legal, not stock, it was a brace made by Thordson Customs. It had a different pistol grip on it. I had put it together with just real basic parts. It had a mil-spec trigger. I don't recall what company parts kit I used putting this thing together, but it had a single-sided mil-spec safety, mil-spec trigger. Everything on it was parts-wise in the lower was all just standard stuff. It had an A2 flash hider on it because I was living in California and I couldn't have a suppressor at the time. So rather than necessarily, especially if you're hurting for money, you don't have to go out and buy a brand new gun. If you've got an older AR, there's lots of things you can do to make them more modern, more usable, more friendly, more combat ready. So what I did with this gun, optic wise, I had some cheap $100 Bushnell on this thing at the time too. As far as light goes, it had an Inforce Haley strategic 150 lumen light, which is not a bad light, but it doesn't have much throw, especially when you start comparing it to modern lights that are available now, 10 years later. So I spent a couple $100 on this thing and did some major upgrades on it. I had a stock laying around from one of my other guns. This thing has been SBR'd, so don't freak out. So I put a stock on here. I upgraded the safety. It's got a Magpul ESK, I think is what the safety is. I don't recall their model name, but it's a ambi safety that can be set up as a 45 or a 90-degree throw. It's got a BCM pistol grip on it. For the trigger, I wanted to save some money, so I ended up going with one of the PSA Saber triggers. It's a 2-stage trigger. Technically it's a Schmidt trigger that's instead of like Aero Precision sells the same trigger, they sell it in a nickel boron coated version. For PSA, it's a nitrided version of it. It's a nice 2-stage trigger, and they're like retail is $89. They're a very inexpensive trigger. It's not a Geisley, but it's a very nice trigger. I ditched the $100 optic and I threw a Holosun Ames on here. I added a modern light on it. I've got a Surefire tape switch here. It's a Arasaka light. And then I've got a Silencer Co. ASR 3-prong on the front because I run, all my cans have got ASR hubs on them. So I haven't shot this gun in years. I found it in my safe. I totally forgot I even had it. That's why I updated it. It's an 11.5 barrel. It needs to be zeroed, so I'm gonna run some rounds through it, zero it, and then I'm gonna run this gun and see what I can do with it. Put the can on it, see how it runs with that. So stand by. Again, this is hey, if you got an old gun laying around, you don't necessarily have to buy a new gun. Think about potentially doing some upgrades. So see what we got going here. I want to thank a couple of sponsors here real quick. U.S. Law Shield. If you are a person who carries a firearm, has a firearm around the house for self-defense, you need to have some sort of legal protection. U.S. Law Shield is a prepaid legal service. It is not insurance. Some states consider it insurance, some don't. But it is prepaid legal service. If you ever end up you get in any kind of self-defense use of force, whether it's with a firearm or not, they will cover you. They have an attorney on call to give you advice, and they will represent you in court. The upside to them, the reason I chose them over some of the other similar services, I am a member, is because they actually cover on-duty law enforcement as well. Many of the other ones do not. So, U.S. Law Shield, thank you very much. The other one I want to thank is Boise Black Rifle. Not only do I work there, but they help me by supporting this channel. So anyways, big shout out to Boise Black Rifle. Thank you for your help as well. So let's get back into this. All right, so I'm out here at double tap range. I'm over on the far left bay, which is a 20, it looks like maybe 30-yard bay overall. However, if you shoot corner to corner, you can get 50 yards. So most of my arrows are zeroed at 50 yards. That's what I'm going to zero this guy at. I've got a bunch of mags out here that I'm going to run through this thing. I've got a Magpul Gen 2 T-Mag. I've got just a steel mil-spec mag. I have a new T-Mags from Magpul. I've got one of the Lancers, and then I've actually got a Daniel Defense, one of their mags. So I'm going to run a bunch of different mags through it also just to make sure it's reliable with everything that I may have laying around the house. Just going to start with the P-Mag. I think I've only put like 8 rounds in each mag. Oops. Let's go take a look. All right. So as I mentioned, I'm an inch right, 2 inches low. I got to do a couple things here in order to adjust this. One of them is get my eyeballs on so I can see what I'm doing. The other one's get the tool here. Of course, I forgot to bring my shooting bag, bench rest shooting bag, that is. All right, so I gotta go right. I wanna go left by an inch. Can't remember if these are half MOA clicks or quarter. I'm gonna guess they're half and 2 inches up. Let's see how that does. I'm gonna aim for the dot in the head. All right, the optic is zeroed. Thus far I've run a metal GI mag and a P-Mag, Gen 2 P-Mag. So I've got a T-Mag in here, got a Lancer on me here, and I've got a Daniel mag in my back pocket. This thing, where am I ejecting? 3 o'clock. 2 o'clock. I could probably use a little bit heavier buffer in here. I've got an H2. I'm almost afraid to put the can on it. Wondering where these are going to start throwing. see what we got now. Didn't change at all. Whew, it's gassing me though. Definitely gassier with the can on it, but my ejection pattern didn't change at all. So potentially throwing an H3 in there might solve my ejection pattern. Well, let's talk about that. You got an old AR that may not be up to date. It may not be cool and hip, but there's things you can do. AR parts are pretty cheap. Even if you don't have the tools to do it, a lot of times you can get a gunsmith at the shop that you buy the parts from to install the parts for you. Some shops are going to charge you for that. I know for a fact Boise Black Rifle, if you buy the parts there, they'll put them on for free. I know that because I'm the one usually putting them on. Also, we don't have a backlog either at Boise. So if you're looking to get parts put on, it's usually same day or next day turnaround. But beyond that, so there are things you can do. If you got an old AR and you don't have the money to buy a new one, but you do want to update that gun, lots of stuff out there that you can bring that old gun up to date, make it a little more modern, make it a little friendlier. There's been a lot of advancements in carbine buffer systems. The Voltor A5 or BCM Mark II buffer system is another step up from the carbine. Still keeps your standard carbine stocks, will still work on it. It is a little bit longer, so the gun won't fully collapse as far. It's, I think, a ½ inch longer. But they give you a lot more options of heavier buffers, so you can fine tune your gun even better. This gun could use probably a slightly heavier buffer. I don't know that I'm going to go the Mark II route. I might just go with an H3 and see how that does. But it's shooting good. I've got a very useful home defense gun here, or truck gun, and it didn't cost me that much because I already had the primary portion of the gun laying around. It just needed some updating. So think about that next time. Don't necessarily have to go out, run out and buy a new gun. A lot of times there are stuff you can do to get yourself a good weapon that won't break the bank. So anyway, that's what I got for you today. Thanks for tuning in.